For us, it's all about we move where the customers go, and we need to make sure that whatever channel in a digital world is relevant to a customer at that stage, and we can also service that channel, we will be there.
How do you drive deeper customer engagement in retail, especially across 12 countries, 2,400 stores, while mixing traditional retail with e-commerce and mobile commerce in a digital transformation during a global pandemic, plus throwing in a complete corporate rebrand? Welcome to CleverTap Engage. My name is John Koetsier.
And my name is Peggy and Salz, and that is a tall order indeed. And in amongst all of that, we're talking about engagement as usual, but we're going to do it today with the CMO of Africa's biggest single brand retailer. Some stats to give you some idea here. The context: they sell 760 million items a year in 300 million transactions annually, including 55,000 pencils per day, all right, and more prepaid cell phones than anyone else in South Africa. So we want to welcome our guest, Bars van der Mira. He is CMO of Pep Stores. Welcome, Bars. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks, John. Thanks, Benny. It's a great introduction. It's all about the pencils, huh?
Wow.
rather big pencil, yeah. No,
that one's only for signing the really big deals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's start here. We've been going through this craziness globally. What has marketing during a global pandemic been like for you?
Sure. I must say, every time we have to revisit and just take ourselves back into what we're doing during these phases, there was big shifts in South Africa. And I think there's global shifts that we've all seen. But in South Africa, because of the huge unemployment rate that's high in the 30s, and a lot of other challenges, there was actually quite big things that we had to quickly do. And for me as a marketer, it was amazing to see how quickly customers reacted, and quickly in a good way and in a bad way. So with what they purchased, how their shopping behavior changed. And yeah, the pandemic really got us to think in a different way and act differently. There was a lot of job losses in our customer base, so hugely impacted. And it's all about what do you do now to, as a marketing function, to shift your focus. And as an example for driving, we were so used to driving feed to stores end of the month when the money is in the market and make sure customers all get there at the same time. And all of a sudden, that's no longer possible. So we had to think about promotional strategies that stretches your timing of when people go to stores, and you run your promotions for longer, so that we don't all send customers to stores at the same time, because they wanted a safe shopping environment. So we quickly had to adapt. And thinking back, there were so many big wins around changing process, changing speed, changing your ability, and being a lot more agile. So yes, it was tough. It's still tough being in it, but I think the good from it is just overshoot the bad by far.
What I liked in what you said in one of your speeches or presentations, Bars, is you said that COVID was your digital transformation officer within the company. So, I think that nails it right there. You're talking about how you also needed to interact with your customers differently, engage with them differently, because they were coming into the store. Lockdown, they're not coming into the store. So you have to blend and blur digital and physical. How did you do that?
I think that's probably one of the toughest things that you have to do a mind shift on, where you're so used to running a physical store. And in our world, remember, our customer base is 80% still pays cash. So switching to an e-commerce space is not as easy, and it's not actually a space that our customers are very comfortable with. And running a physical store or 2,500 stores for 55 years, it's a big shift. And I think that's also why I said the Corona was definitely the digital transformation officer, because it just put the focus around, it's not about the buy button. For us, in our case, it's not about the buy button, but it's about being digitally ready and relevant to our customers. So we did different things on a digital platform where we got customers to check if the products are available before they go to store, because they take public transport, it actually costs them a lot of money, and then they would spend $2 or $3 in the store. So it's small purchases, so any decision where they go and they waste time costs them money. So we're currently not selling online, but we did a lot to be e-commerce ready and almost add that layer for a customer where they still go to the physical store. And the good thing about a footprint as large is there's stores everywhere, so it helps with that. So there's still a physical footprint, but they can check online if the products are available and therefore not waste time. So I think it's extremely important that it's not separate things. I always say it's your digital store, your biggest store. It gets the most visits. Most people go there. So you need to make sure that that shop is really in order, and that all the structures, in our world, we have an area manager or regional support manager. So your digital platforms also needs that. It needs to be well equipped to run and to make sure that it's a great experience for your customer.
I love that part about COVID being your chief digital transformation officer, because what we've seen in the past is that companies needed a massive burning platform to make significant global change. And many couldn't sort of sum that up pre-COVID, but found COVID to be the impetus to really make extensive change across the entire company. I want to talk about what channels you're using and what channels you're developing. Clearly, you have the store. You also have the website. You sell a lot of mobile phones. What channels are you thinking that the future will hold for you in terms of e-commerce, mobile commerce, mixed with the physical retail?
For us, it's all about, we move where the customers go, and we need to make sure that whatever channel in a digital world is relevant to a customer at that stage, and we can also service that channel, we will be there. So constantly we put on new channels, and I think it's sometimes quite scary as a CMO to see the amount of new things being launched and where customers go, because they move very quickly. And I think that's always a challenge, because some of the things they can look very pretty and they can look very aspirational, but especially for our core customer, it needs to work. It needs to be low on data. So those things are still very relevant. So we'll adapt and change platforms as our customers' eyes move. When eyes and ears move, we move with them.
WhatsApp is extremely popular and messaging seems human. And again, you don't have to, but you sort of want to say, look, this is really in stock, or do you want to check that this is in stock? So what channels are enabling that ongoing conversation, not just the selling, as you said?
Yes, yeah, it's a very good point. So, and WhatsApp is a great example. If you ask a consumer today in South Africa, social platforms or platforms that they use every day, WhatsApp is a huge one. And even goes a little step down to a USSD, which is a dial of a code onto a phone. It's a very simple code texting that they use in South Africa as well. But it starts there. So your digital channels or your communication channels on USSD, WhatsApp, where relevant products get communicated, making sure that you can communicate and service that experience there, straight all the way up to a very fancy website. And we're currently re-platforming our website, and we're doing stuff on there to make it more mobile friendly. So again, it's always on. You can't move away. You need to make sure that in your customer base, in your offering, that you share the relevant stuff on these platforms, and because they can consume lots and lots and lots of content, and just take a lot of time as well. So you need to make sure it actually works.
I love that you brought that up, Peggy, because it's a different thing to be mobile and to be mobile first, perhaps in some areas of Africa, because that might be, along with Asia and India, the place on the planet that is most mobile centric, because mobile is the primary mode of computing, versus in perhaps Western Europe or North America, we still have desktops, laptops, that sort of thing, in addition to our smartphones. And so mobile doesn't necessarily mean for you, what I'm hearing, doesn't necessarily mean iOS, Android, and a full app experience. But as we see in places like Kenya and other places like that, mobile payments and mobile transactions and mobile communications in WhatsApp and other platforms is a key feature across Africa, correct?
Yeah, so it's a very good point. So it's absolutely mobiles first. So the desktop and any other platform for us is so small. If you look at our numbers, it's like 90% of our transactions or our engagements and visits come from mobile phones. Mobile payments is critical. Like it's very different, but it's almost that the customers have skipped certain phases and went straight onto a mobile phone as the device, as the platform to transact. And if you're not there, you're absolutely dead.
That's a quote right there, John.
Yes.
You're talking about mobile, and of course, part of that mobile experience can be VR, AR. Any plans, any embracing of Metaverse at Pep stores?
It's extremely exciting. I think for me as a CMO, I see huge opportunity, but it's scary at the moment because it's such a big thing. We were again laughing about it, where we said that imagine you go, if us now going into an expo meeting and saying, we've decided that we're actually going to buy this piece of land and it's a metaverse, and we're actually going to create these avatars and add a whole new experience for a shopper on the metaverse. And then we can pay with it with Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency. And how weird it would be for a lot of people. But that is the reality. Like in 5 years from now, or not even 5 years, it's going to be a huge topic for discussion in all boardrooms. I think it's in some at the moment. And I think our lives are going to change. But the important thing with Metaverse for me is you can't take your current experience and try and put it onto a Metaverse. It needs to be a real customer experience. And I think some brands are playing there at the moment. They're getting it very wrong. Some are definitely doing it well, but you really have to have a strategy around what you're doing in that space. So we're not doing anything now at the moment, but I'm not going to say never, because I think that is a lot of what the future holds at the moment.
Let's turn to another topic here. We've had MasterCard CMO Raja Rajamanar on our show, and he's famously said that loyalty's dead. Now, you're talking about different channels that you're using, how your customers interact with you, how they buy, when they come to your store, and moving at the pace of your customers. Do you agree that loyalty's dead, and what do you take out of that statement?
It was quite a bold statement. I really enjoyed it, and I also enjoyed this session very much. I think for me, I agree with him. So first of all, I don't think anyone owns a customer, and we sometimes believe that we have loyal customers, so people shopping with you more frequently, but it's all about the product and the offering you put down. If something changes there, if they've got a bad experience with you, it's their last visit is how loyal they are. And I think we sometimes think that we tie them into loyalty programs. We put stuff down that to us feels like it's a customer on a dashboard that we see a lot of and comes frequently. But I think it's a massive risk for a business if you think that way. It's everyone's customer. And the same with me. I shop at a certain retail store. If I go there and I don't have a good experience, or I'm disappointed in the product, I move on. I might go back. It depends if something changes again. But the way we see loyalty, you call like a loyal customer, I support his view on it. I really think it's the wrong thing to do if you think you own anyone. No one owns anyone.
Good point.
I do have to ask about how you've changed the experience, because it's also part of your rebrand, part of a campaign that's ongoing about, okay, it's not about selling, It's about earning loyalty, earning interest through identifying with your audience. And they want to, as you've nailed it, make an entrance. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so for us, it's really about, like I said earlier as well, about being customer relevant and really understanding what the customer's needs are, which also links into cultural segmentation, which I think is an amazing topic to discuss as well. Where do you understand the cultural needs of your customer, and are they also move through different phases culturally? But Make Your Entrance was a campaign we did in December, and actually what happened is it was very late in December already where we decided we're doing so many product and price ads because that's really what we do, and which come naturally. We advertise a product with a price on it, but there was some heart missing in South Africa. And after 2 years of COVID, people do want to get together and did want to get together, and it's an important cultural insight that they want to make their entrance. So when you walk into a room, when you walk into a church, when you walk into a shopping center, you are dressed to impress, and that is a key thing for our consumers. So we decided let's take that insight and actually create a fun campaign. And it was really focused on digital content. So we created a lot of digital video content where it was having fun with how people make their entrance and some nuances around you having a big Christmas lunch and then bringing back the Tupperware, which is the afterwards after you've taken leftovers home from your mom's house. And it's about that entrance you make when you come back. Or it's about the entrance jumping into a swimming pool. We're just having fun. So it worked so well. It performed extremely well because it was relevant to what the customers are asking for, and they could all relate. And we made sure from a market point of view, we covered all segments of the market. So we had some fun with it, and it's really a campaign that we're very proud of.
That's a great segue, actually, because I wanted to talk a little bit about how many different countries you operate in, but also probably how many different languages and cultural groups you serve. How many different countries do you operate in? How many languages do you have to transact business in? What are the challenges there, and how do you segment those customers and speak to each of them?
So it's 12 countries, and just in South Africa, there's 11 languages. So that just gives you an idea. If you start adding it up, it is a lot. So what we do as a business, we actually divide our Africa division as a separate entity to make sure that because you really have to be on the ground understanding the market. So that we put 5 countries into that bucket, and then we have 7 countries, which is South Africa and the borders of South Africa that we look after. And yes, that's an ongoing opportunity. I'm not going to call it a challenge. You have to make sure that you can communicate to the customer in their mother tongue. And we can do that very well with radio in our country. So we use radio quite effectively to communicate in the customer's language. And then wherever we can else do it, like service in store, of course, we do it as well. We go traditionally with English as the language we use. So yeah, it's something that you can get wrong as well. If you get it right, it works very well. You also need the right partners, and of course, I don't even speak all the languages, and so you need the right partners to come in that knows countries, that knows the languages, and again knows the customer nuances and key insights that you can pull on to have successful marketing campaigns.
Just relevant to that, I see a phrase behind you on, I'm not sure if it's your left or right side because the camera might be flipping it here, but what is that phrase and what does that mean?
So Sekula Kunye is our culture. So that's our culture we have internally. It's about growing together. So that's our internal business culture that we drive across all levels around growing. It's really a culture of growing. So from the CEO straight down, we celebrate culture a lot in events. We dress up, we do funny things, we laugh at each other. So yes, it's quite a fun culture.
Thank you.
That's something I want B-roll of, you know. We've talked about it several times as well, John. You know, we were talking last time to Ian Stewart, for example, Tom's Shoes, and he's saying, my problem is not the marketing. My problem is that I've got a bunch of ships over off the coast with all my shoes in them and they're not here. How's the global supply chain issue impacting you? How are you getting around that? And maybe also telling your customers, that's a big point, to say, okay, it's not here, but trust me, it's coming. At some point.
No, indeed, it's a big thing. So we had lots and lots of lates coming into, and again, if you miss a season, you have winter products sitting in summer. You don't want it. Customers don't want it. So lots of challenges to on the shipping side, and yeah, it's still there. I think that on the communication side is what can you do about it, and again, out of that, a lot of good has come where we had to implement posters or point of sale in our stores, which is more agile to change. We will do a post and we will leave a space where we can change product or we can change price and find vehicles that's more agile and produce TV ads at the last minute, even though we do them last minute quite normally, but more last minute, to make sure that you can change things, because we had to communicate to customers the right products, and we would rather take things off. So if the availability is not high enough, we would rather take the communication off for the customer and rather not communicate than disappointing customers, because we invite them to our stores. We always say all communication is invitation to say, we have this product available, come to our store. And we don't want people to come in and be disappointed. So our communication strategy has changed to really be on the go, change as we go, and really take off things that's just not in store, because you have disappointed people.
Let's end here. You did a rebrand during COVID, and you're not the first one that we've heard doing that. Actually, you mentioned Tom's Shoes, Peggy, and we talked to Ian, and he was doing a rebrand during COVID, and it seems to have almost been a thing. But it had its challenges, I'm sure. Why did you do a rebrand during a global pandemic?
So we definitely planned to rebrand or refresh. We didn't plan the pandemic to happen. So
okay, wasn't your fault.
No, so it was definitely planned before. I think the decision we had to make is, do we still continue? And I think that was quite a big discussion for us as a team, and for me in my role to say, is it still the right time? And I just believed it's a better time than ever. So we had mostly everything ready, and it was the customers asked for it. So, and like I said earlier, when the customers ask, when their eyes change, when the ears move, we have to go with it. And they said to us, it's time to refresh. We really love you, and there's a lot of brand love, but we need you to put on a new jacket. Was almost the words that they use. It's like, we want the same person, we want the same offering. We know what you stand for, your positioning is clear, but it needs to be refreshed. And until today, when we talk about it, we say it was definitely, it can't be, it's more than a logo change. It's not a logo change. That was the end result of a lot of things in our business we put out to be ready, to actually signal change to our customers. And it was an amazing process, because I started off and we looked at various different routes where extreme changes, and it's like walking on eggs. I said to the agency, it's like, this brand is 55 years old. People love it. There's so much good in it. It's like walking on eggs. You can't get this one wrong, because if you get it wrong, you're going to upset a lot of customers. And even in the process, because we involved customers in focus groups and made sure all the way along that we evolved the brand. It's not a complete rebrand. We evolved it. We took them on the journey with it. But I remember the day when we introduced it. It was introduced on social first. And the one customer actually commented, it's like, they didn't ask me if they can change the logo. And that's how much they really care about this brand. And it was very well received, but there was still those things where I almost feel like they had to engage with me first. But it was a fun thing. Looking back, the timing was spot on. The world actually created an opportunity for us in all of this, and it did wonders for the brand. So a really proud moment for Pep and for the marketing team, in like all online. Like we never approved a logo on a table. So where that's changed completely was signing off color proofs and making sure the colors are 100% correct. Most of it happened on a screen. So yeah, special time.
Well, wonderful. Glad that that worked out for you and that it made sense and that it resonated with your audience. I love that. They didn't ask me if they could change the logo. That's that's some loyalty right there. That's some ownership of the brand. That makes a lot of sense. Buyers, we want to thank you for your time. We do appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. It's fantastic.
I want to thank you as well, and also for sharing those insights into cultural segmentation. I think that's something we're going to be hearing a lot more about, John. Demographics, that's location. If we're not out, how are you going to address us, engage us, target us? So it's interesting to focus on what we value instead of where we are. So thank you for sharing.
And for everybody else, for our audience, if you're watching the video, hey, check out the audio podcast, which is great if you're in the bus or on a train or on a plane. If you're doing those things yet now still, who knows, or starting them up again. And if you're on the audio version, guess what? You can see us and it's amazing. It's like almost Metaverse light. You can search for us on YouTube, chill, watch us whenever you want. Take out the popcorn. There you go.
And if you want to make it complete, right, you join us, John, because this podcast is all about finding the world's best marketers, getting their top tips, advice. So if you fit the bill, well, then DM John or me on Twitter or LinkedIn. Yes, we are there. And let's get you set up with a show of your own. Until then, this is Peggy and Salz.
And this is John Koetsier for CleverTap Engage.